This week's Filmmakers Podcast is brought to you by Massive, the fastest way to send and receive massive film and video files. Send uncompressed dailies, locked pictures, DCPs and more with Massive. Spelt M-A-S-V. Keep listening to hear how you can receive 100 gigabytes for free towards your next transfer. Massive.
The Podfix Network.
Hello and welcome to episode 235 of the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
about films, television, and more.
Have you ever listened to this show?
No.
Oh my gosh, from indie film to studio films and everything in between. How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to
Fuck it up.
In our very,
Wait, to say that?
Very humble opinion. Welcome to the show. Today is a delight for us to have on the fantastic producer, Ado Yoshizaki Cassuto. And we're talking about how we go from feature film to TV producing. Now, Ado, if you don't know, was on our Make Your Film event about 2 years ago. He joined myself and Dom for the live event. I can't remember if we put it up or not. If we didn't, then you don't know about his backstory. So, real quick, I'm just going to give you a rundown of what he has produced, which includes Guantanamero, The Last Passenger, which starred Dougray Scott, and he produced City of Tiny Lights, which starred Oscar nominee Riz Ahmed. On TV recently, he produced The Pale Horse and the fantastic Deceit.
Yes, which is the amazing true crime drama adaptation of the investigation into the murder of Rachel Nichol that has just come out on Channel 4, starring the amazing Niamh Algar, Harry Treadaway, Nathaniel Martello White, and the incredible Eddie Marsan.
With Ado on the show, we talk all about how he did go from feature film to TV producing, what it's like making a TV show in a pandemic, and how Deceit came about.
We also talk about Ado's process, starting a new TV project as a producer, what it's like making a true crime drama, why you need to make good decisions as a producer.
And he talks about searching for a director and cast on TV, what he looks for, why would you get the job, and also why showrunning doesn't really exist in the UK.
And some really important stuff, how to navigate tough times when the chips are down and how to get back on track, and why you shouldn't let it take over your life.
Obviously, we dive deep into Deceit as well, but we also talk at the end about HBO and the fact that he is producing a brand new show for them. Look out for that. That's all to come on this week's Filmmakers Podcast, but before we get there, Dom, myself and you have some news, don't we?
Yes. The news is here. Me and Charles are expecting.
You can't even say it without laughing. That is not correct.
No, that's not the news.
No, that's not news. Everyone knows that. No, what is the news, Dom? This is exciting. Should I do a drum roll? All right, you do it.
Oh, okay. We have both of our films premiering at the fantastic Fright Fest, which is one of the best horror festivals in the whole world.
Yes. I've got Followers, which I produced with Parkhouse Pictures. That is playing on the second night of Fright Fest. Fright Fest starts on the 26th of August in London, and I'm actually going there on the first night for the first night party because The Kindred, which was directed by Jamie Patterson, who was on the podcast maybe about a month or so ago. Classic episode. It's a great episode, very funny. He's a brilliant guy. His film The Kindred is, I think, the final film that night, so I'm going to that because my producers of Followers produced that as well. And we're on the second night, which is Friday the 27th at 8:20. And I think 9 p.m. as well. And then, Dom, you are the following night.
Yes, so on the following night, primetime slot, Saturday at 9 p.m, the world premiere of When the Screaming Starts, which is the debut feature film of Connor Buru. And there's a nice little story here because Connor originally came on and came to our Make Your Film event, came on a film course that we ran. He's been listening to the podcast for a long time, and it's one of those things where it started helping out with advice, and then suddenly I found myself as a producer, and over the last couple of months I've been battling through with post deadlines and organising the post-production, and the film is shaping up incredibly well, and we brought some really amazing people on, so you should get yourself down to that premiere.
I can't wait.
Saturday night,
28th.
grab it.
of August. So we'll be there for the first 3 nights. Well, I certainly will be anyway. So if you're down there, come and say hello. Could just do it. Don't be shy if you're not used to that sort of thing. Honestly, I won't bite. Well, I might. It depends.
He does bite. He does bite.
So anyway, that's Fright Fest. That's myself and Tom. We have our films down there that we have produced. It's kind of cool. Like Ado, except he's a lot better than we are. But still, that's irrelevant. How exciting, Tom. What else have you been up to?
Mostly that.
I thought we had a link, but no.
No, I mean, it's a very full time, to be honest. No, I've got 2 or 3 other things that are in development and just about to sort of go into production later in the year as a producer and as a director. So I'm literally slammed on this for the next couple of weeks, and then I'm full Fright Fest mode, and then the rest of the year is pretty cram-packed as well, moving things forward.
Cram-packed, like vegan sardines in a can.
Exactly.
I obviously, as everyone knows who listens to this podcast regularly, we are in...
Yeah, we all know, Giles.
We're on deep prep now. Not a lot of people don't know this. We're deep in prep now for mine and Dom's baby. No, for 3-Day Millionaire, which we're shooting in Grimsby in September. So proper deep into crewing up, casting up. It's kind of full on, getting locations, sorting out permits. So I'm heading up to Grimsby pretty much when this comes out. So I'll be up there, hopefully sunning myself on the beach. I won't be. There's no beach. It's just rocks. But you get the idea. And lots of ships passing by, so it wouldn't be too nice. But... that is happening at the moment. It's all full on, but very exciting. It's lovely to squeeze in a bit of Fright Fest in between. I love Fright Fest. It's great.
Fantastic festival.
It's Fright Fest, Dom, not fantastic.
No.
So shall we get to it before we make more fools of ourselves?
Yes.
By the way, who is having the baby? Is it you or me?
I think it's you.
I'd probably take that.
Yeah.
This is this week's episode with the fantastic Ado Yoshizaki Cassuto, brilliant producer.
Could we call the baby Pod?
It's kind of, Pod. That's a good name for a baby.
It's a nice name, yeah.
To be honest, though, this is already our baby, so
yes,
we've given birth already to this. So let's get to today's episode with Ado Yoshizaki Cassuto, the fantastic producer of the brilliant Deceit. It is out now. Go watch it. Enjoy. Hey.
Hello.
Ado, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. And how are you guys? Are you well?
Very good.
Yeah. Just deep in the middle of post and prep for another one, so it's all a little bit mental.
And during a pandemic as well. I mean, that's just another layer, isn't it?
Totally. And same to you, man. You know, getting Deceit off the ground in the pandemic, or certainly now that it's coming out, is incredible. I think so. It's huge. Did you shoot during the pandemic as well?
Yeah, we did. I mean, it started last June when we were still in the first lockdown and the kids weren't in school. And I think it was about 3 or 4 months before we were actually in production. And there was a little period where coronavirus cases were quite low during the summer. Then there was Eat Out to help out. And then very steadily through the last 5 or 6 weeks of our prep, the numbers started to go in a pretty worrying direction. And then when we started the shoot, we were at about 5,000 cases a day. And then it started to just go nuts after that. And I think every single day until December when we finished was a bit of a trial. I mean, it was hard work.
So skipping backwards, how did Deceit all come about? How did you get involved in the project? How did all things get kicking off?
The way it came about was, I think it was last February, March. I went to meet Dave Nath from Story Films, who's a BAFTA-winning documentary filmmaker himself and just a wonderful guy, really serious. He has done some amazing shows, all true crime or sort of true stories. And he and I talked about this one that he wanted to get off the ground in, I think, May. Then the pandemic struck, and while I was kind of wondering what was going to happen, and you'd sort of hear whispers of things in May, sort of starting to try and see what they could do. He came back to me and said, Channel 4 were interested in exploring whether or not the film could go ahead and how much it might cost to add on top to tackle the corona side. So we did that, and then basically through July, they suddenly said, I think it was kind of like a green light. Niamh was already attached. We searched for a director and got Neil McCormick on board. And as soon as we did that, it started to become more and more real through August. And September was really prep, and October is when we started, and 52 days later we'd finished shooting. But it was a marathon.
That sounds like a really quick turnaround. I mean, I hear people in TV shows and trying to get something, written and ready and out there, and it takes them years and years and years. It seems to me that was quite quick, no?
I'm very lucky. I don't get to, on these TV series, I don't really get involved in development. And so they've been in development on this probably for about 4 years. I think.
Okay.
Amelia, Dave. I mean, the amount of research and also getting the consent of victims' families, Colin Stagg, all the people involved in a true life scenario, they spent years doing that. So I've really been lucky to come in at the end where they said, okay, how do we actually go about making this? And that's the point I come in.
I mean, that must have been quite a tricky situation to get the permission, because it's quite a controversial take on it. And I mean, I can't imagine Colin Stagg being particularly delighted at the idea.
Oh, he's all right, actually.
Is he? Is he really?
Yeah,
okay.
He's so used to it. I mean, the number of books and all sorts of things that documentaries have come out about him. He's quite blasé about it because he's spent probably more than half his life now in the public eye. Yeah, in that sense. And I think the guys from Story Films are extraordinary in the sense that how they approach it. They really are people you can trust, and they're very honest. And they do things in the right way, and they really want to. So I think that's helped. I think Rachel Nickel's family was a bit tougher for many understandable reasons. And the victims of Samantha Bissett and Jasmine Bissett, their families, that's, it's a lot of, I mean, it's fractured sort of stories and families, isn't it? So it's quite tricky.
It's difficult. But then when you've got a big company, it's not like you're making an independent film where it could be done in who knows, and they can get worried about it. But here it's big companies behind it and people they trust, and suddenly that changes everything, doesn't it? I suppose.
I think it's right. I mean, if I was doing this as an indie film, you don't have anywhere near that kind of oversight. You have some lawyers, maybe, but here we had the entire channel's legal department and compliance and Objective Media Group, all the way through Story Films as well. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of people involved. And what that led to is every single word in the script, every inflection in the rushes having to be checked. And we had to change quite a lot because of compliance. I've never done anything that's even vaguely a non-fiction. So to be put in the middle of something that's as contentious as this was quite a learning curve.
And I think it really highlights not just the horror of the victim and the victim's family, but the harrowing lengths that undercover agents actually have to go to. Not agents, I'm thinking FBI terms, American TV. But I mean the lengths that they have to go to, and I mean there's an amazing moment in one of the first episodes where Niamh's kind of going through the severe anxiety of building herself up to talking to a serial killer, and then has to sort of flip into acting, and it's an amazing sort of transformation moment. And you really go into the fear of what it's like to actually have to immerse yourself into this kind of underworld. And I think the show really captures that well with the sort of the cinematography and the dark grungy tone.
Oh god, yeah, it's gorgeous, and the colours and everything. You sort of it sets off in that nightclub set in '92 for everyone who doesn't know, and it has that nightclub feel which takes me back to sort of my days. And, and the colours then carried on, and I really love that grungy, like Dom said, the oranges, the yellows. And it keeps that going throughout. Was that something again that you talked about with your director? And
I mean, Neil is Neil had made a couple of things that are very cinematic looking, and I think with Channel 4, I remember being on a call with the commissioner, and she just said, look, it's Channel 4, we want to be different, we don't want this to look like an ITV sort of true crime drama, even though I actually quite liked Des recently.
Was great, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, David Tennant starring.
Yeah, but I knew what she meant. I knew that it was meant to be more vibrant, more dynamic, more colourful, more cinematic, and we sort of went down that route straight away, I think. And I like that the episodes sort of change. It is a little bit horror movie, a little bit serial killer stuff, and then it kind of morphs into a much more humane story as it goes through. And I sort of like the contrast that are going on there. It was a conscious decision to make it look the way it does, and Yeah.
Was it always in the script, the Eddie Marsan psychologist kind of angle? Because I mean, that's one of the other things that is quite unique about it is his kind of performance, and really going into the mindset of who they're looking at and the way to prepare.
Yeah, it's all true. I mean, I think
okay.
what we wanted to do is what I couldn't get done, and I really wished that I kind of had, because I think it would add something to it. But you've seen each episode starts with a whole bunch of captions, and it's like heavily legal sort of captions. These are like what you can and can't say. When you talked about undercover officers and the lengths they went to, we had to cut a lot of really amazing stuff that was pushing the boundary even further, because there was a kind of conservative fear of not offending people, even though everything that we depicted had happened at some point. And then the other side is Paul Britton is a real character. He's the only person who is aware of the series, but hasn't been involved in giving his consent. Right. And even with that, I think that there was a kind of concern that he might litigate. But I think that in the end, the series is incredibly fair to everybody that's involved. And that's one of the things I liked about it. It's quite balanced in that sense. It's not like a sort of, let's muckrake and let's just go after someone. Let's present things as black and white. It's a lot of complex issues at the heart of it. But I have to say, what I wish I'd added with the captions at the beginning, or wish I'd been able to, was that every single phone call between Lizzie and Colin is verbatim. And every single letter is word for word. So basic, and all the police interviews are verbatim as well. Obviously chopped and edited down for length and moved around. But those are the exact, and the same thing happened in Des as well, which I wasn't aware of, that those are mostly verbatim as well. And I think it just adds that layer, because you could just do a docudrama where you have the people reading the letters, reading out the transcripts, and then a sort of vague attempt at a drama reconstruction. But it's trying to embed all of that within like a kind of, not glossy, but cinematic looking sort of series that I thought was brilliant, because you're sort of wondering, did these conversations actually happen? Did they say that? It's like they said it, all of it, word for word. So, I think that adds something.
And how did you mentioned there about speaking to the friends, family and victims. How did you approach them? Did you find best ways to approach them when at first someone was saying no and you approached someone else, and did you try different tactics? How did you go about it?
I was involved a second hand on that. I think through post-production, there were things that we had to send to Rachel's son, for example, clips and scenes. Is this okay? Check everything off. Some newspaper or sort of archive from the time where we wanted to put real news readings from the time. They were a bit too visceral, a bit too graphic. So we had to kind of change all of that. But luckily, Dave and Pete Beard and Kira at Story, they really have done this again and again with their drama. They've just got a documentary out on Channel 4 about sex traffickers that's just come out now. For example, they've spent 20 years, 30 years doing this kind of thing. And I think I let them handle all of that because they know how to do it. And I think they've done it, spectacularly well, because it's difficult subject matter.
Very difficult. So let's jump back and talk about, so when you get asked to come and do something like this, what's the role? What do you first do? How do you set up? Do you get crew in? Do you start looking at cast? What, for you as a producer, for those out there who don't know, what is the role? What's your first thing?
It's two worlds, isn't it? One is the film world, where you do everything from the start, and you're in charge of absolutely every little bit of it, and your responsibility is entirely on you. And if it happens, you feel it's like your baby. It's such a labor of love. With the TV series, so I think I come in at a later point. So I would get sent things that are either greenlit or ready to go, ready, almost greenlit, let's say. And that's sort of how the TV world functions at the minute. It's sort of more of a business, and it's more stable, I would say, in terms of what's doable. So they would have ordinarily a writer. They've written some scripts, and it's been commissioned or close to being commissioned, and there's a production company behind it. The people at these production companies aren't actually producers, they're executive producers. They're very good with scripts and talent and getting commissions, which is their bread and butter. I straddle the world between the commissioning side and the production company side, and then the production itself. And my job is really to kind of come in and assess, well, how much have we got and where are we making this and when? So those are the first questions. And then really it's the director crewing up, casting and designing the show, in the sense of like, how are we going to approach this in the best way possible, and thinking it through, and sort of a structure to it. Now, that was particularly important during the pandemic because we had a big conversation to have at the beginning, which is what is the safest way to do this. And the first thing I did is kick all the scenes that you've seen with lots of people down to the end of the schedule. Not because it was trying to figure out, well, in August last year when we were designing it, was like, well, we have a choice. Half of it will take place in the studio and half of it will be on the road. Which is the best way to go around? Do you start on the road when the cases are low and then go into a studio to hide? Or do you start in the studio and then take a chance on the fact that, you know, the cases will be even further down, or things will open up more.
Or not.
Or not. What's the best way to do this? And so you grapple with that and you sort of present it and talk it through with everybody. And we thought, in this case, and I think it turned out to be the right case, was that we'll start in the studio because then everyone get used to seeing people again.
Very true.
And, you know, those sort of nerves won't be just, oh my God, and we're moving to another street. Because we were in prep. When we were on a recce, we went to a street in Kingston where the rule of 6 had literally just been called in.
Right.
And people just drove past us, rolled down their windows, screamed at us and started spitting.
What?
So which is like,
Spitting?
starting spitting at the crew because...
worst.
That's the worst thing you can possibly do with coronavirus. I mean, it was disgusting.
I mean, it's ironic.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing
Very
else.
ironic.
It just showed how angry people were that they were being forced to stay indoors and didn't know what they were doing with their work. And here were some people, you know, gladding about in high-vis jackets, all getting ready to make something. It just felt surreal. So, you know, those big scenes like on a council estate and things like that, we just thought, there's no way we can do that at the beginning, you know? So we'll take a chance and see, and I'll just put them towards the end. And by then we'll be a rolling machine. We'll be a good machine. We'll know what we're doing and we'll be able to handle things better. So, yeah, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think that was a great way to do it, actually. I think if you'd gone outside first, there's too many variants, literally, but there's too many things happening around you. Thanks, Dom. But it makes it really difficult. Whereas inside first, you all know what you're doing. You know where your stations are. Everything's safe. You get used to the way of working, of everyone, how to work. And then when you're outside, well, people know how people work. I think that was a good way to do it.
It felt sensible. The other reason was because if we'd had a shutdown, although we had the insurance just come in, but during prep we didn't know if there would be, and it just sounded like it would bring the entire production down. The budget was good, but not spectacularly amazingly huge, so it's not like we cope with lots of different kinds of problems. So the thing is, if something had happened in the first week and we'd been out on location, I think we would have all just thrown our hands up in the air, you know. Whereas in a studio you could sort of control who comes in and out, and that was a better way of kind of fortressing ourselves. But generally speaking, this is what I'm doing now as well, is cast lists, director lists, scripts coming on. You know, that's the sort of start of it. And you can sort of feel that it's sort of calm now, but at a certain point, the intensity will ramp up and up and up, and that's probably what's going to happen again. I wouldn't say enjoyable, but it's quite energizing in a way. And the more people that come on, the better as well, because it starts off very lonely and it ends very lonely. At the beginning, it's just a couple of people, and then there's suddenly the whole production and everyone's around, and then there's post and there's like a sort of more select group, and then suddenly it's just you at the end watching the online fixing tiny little things, and that's it. It's gone.
It's a sort of dilution of pressure in a way, as there's more people that can kind of solve problems with you, I guess, as you.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
And then at the start it's like all on you to go through the development or to get the funding sometimes if you're in film, and then in post it's like, at the moment I'm battling out with another guy on a deadline for a film that's coming out very soon, and it's just suddenly you're condensed down to a very small number of management, and it's all kind of resting on your shoulders, and then it kind of then it's release day or it's out on the TV, and it's all back to happy smiles and premieres, and then you kind of forget it all again.
Well, sort of happy smiles, fake happy smiles, isn't it?
Yeah, grimaces, always pain behind the eyes.
Oh, I know. I actually don't like pre-release anymore, I have to say. I know that the show's coming out on Friday, the 13th now, but the more I do, the less I'm enjoying this particular period. I like it after it's come out, and then it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's just how is it going to be? How you sort of don't care and sort of do care at the same time. Like you sort of know what you've been through, and you know what it is. At the same time, you're sort of like, well, I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, I see it as it's out of your hands now. It's someone else's baby to love and nourish and take it on board now, and they can champion in it. That's how I feel, and I hope that happens, you know, with all your films. You know, you just kind of want other champions to run with it and go, that film's amazing, and get tattoos of it, or that TV series is so amazing. Nice. Yeah, wouldn't it?
I hope you're right, Charles. I'm going to stick with that.
Honestly, from what me and Dom have seen, we were lucky enough to watch the first 2 episodes, and it is brilliant, and it really will, I think, smash through the barrier, especially right now. And it's a really weird time. Like, there seems to be nothing new with the new dramas. Des was out recently, like we mentioned, and there was a few others that were big, and now suddenly we're all going, where's the new one? So I think it's perfect timing.
And especially for something that's like
not an accident.
Oh, not an accident. That's why it's doing his
just
job.
complete luck. but there, I think there has been a little bit of a dip in content, like that. You know, that there's been a lot of stuff that's sort of been put out on certain channels or networks there, and then there's these kind of gems that are coming along, and you know, I really crave those kind of high quality original bits of content, and this is certainly that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I tell you what, I think that there's an appetite for this kind of true crime thing, and I just hope we've done it proud. I have to say, there were 2 things going through my mind the whole time. One is about the victims, thinking about them, because, you know, everyone's like, oh yeah, you're playing Rachel or whatever, you know, to an actress, and you'd be like, it's just, you know, and everyone came traumatized who'd read about the case, you know, who'd really understood that case and the Samantha Bissett case, came out really traumatized, you know, from just what they'd read, because it's just so awful. But the other side of it was just like, you know, I remember talking to people saying, I wonder if anything that's ever made during the pandemic is going to be any good, because honestly, it's so hard to make anything in this situation. Like, it's almost like the quality is great if you can get it, but just the making of it is just, it's just a sheer bloody achievement.
I know. And yet, interestingly, the audiences at home don't care.
We knew that. We said that. He said we were there. I was putting out an actual literal fire on the set one day myself, you know, just as a kind of metaphor for my life. And then I was just like, I was stamping out this fire in the dark, obviously, because all the lights are off. It was outside. And I was like, has anyone seen this fire? No. Okay, I'll stamp it out then. Stamped it out. And I just thought, no one is going to care. By the time this comes out, no one will care that it was shot during a pandemic. And that's just something we're going to have to live with, you know?
I bet those Kingston spitters were watching it. I bet the same people that abused you on the street, I guarantee you, like, quite a lot of them will be talking about it with their friends.
They will, because it was filmed on their street.
They're going to know. If only they drove by when the fire was burning, they could have spat and put it out. Idiots.
Oh my God.
Well, you've mentioned there about the moment you're cast hunting and director hunting. What is it you look for in a drama like this, in terms of your casting, your directors? What tactics, what kind of things, what for you, what basis do you go down and do you look for?
It's really different with the films as it is with the TV. I mean, again, film, I'd be much more, probably before we have a director, you're already talking about cast, or you're sort of involved with agents and just sort of, you know, I don't know, in a TV series like the 2 that I've done, so I've done Pale Horse and I've done Deceit now. And Pale Horse, the casting process happened in the last 2 weeks. We got 21 cast on board in the last 2 weeks. The lead came on, Rufus Sewell came on probably a week and a half before shoot started, to the extent where the director and I would be joking about how we would have to be the leads, because it just wasn't going to happen. And so they came on really super late in that, and then Deceit was the opposite. So Deceit had this huge problem in front of it, is how you're going to make it. But at the same time, it came with Niamh Algar already attached, and there were tapes going around of Sean Daniel Young playing Colin Stagg. And I remember Dave early on in August said, oh, Amelia and I really like Sean Daniel Young, what do you think? And I had a look, and it was just amazing. I just thought, so we had those 2 on board quite early on in our prep. And I think when Neil came on, Niamh was already attached, so he came on board knowing that she would be the lead, and he was super happy about it.
Of course,
as he should be. I mean,
it's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah, she's just insanely good. And
what about directors? And you mentioned about cast there, but what do you look for in directors as well? What is it? Is it other telly they've done? Is it stuff that would exciting or that fits this particular project?
Yeah, it's definitely fits this particular project. And what kind of profile are you looking for? Again, the 2 that I've done, very different from the film direct. You know, film. I've had directors come to me with a script, and I've gone to a director very early on. In TV, TV, you know, most of it's kind of there before the producer and the director do come on. So on Pale Horse, it was, I went through a list of 108 directors to find, and then I mean, when I say I mean, this is together with Mammoth, the production company, who would be driving the conversation, as in what they're looking for and what they're not.
And are you looking at show reels during that time? You're looking at reels?
Yeah, show reels. I mean, agent, you know, you can imagine with 108 directors, that's 108 agents as well. Each agent would come up with a series of suggestions of other people, some of whom are, you know, not right or you know, unachievable, you know, just unattainable, that kind of thing. The list is sprawling and huge, and it's just a case of whittling it down. And when we finally got to Leah Lonsdale, I mean, I don't think anyone would have thought she would have ended up directing it, because she'd only done a short film and a documentary, and was kind of, you know, almost on the cusp of starting her TV career. So it was quite a big leap for her. You know, obviously she handled it brilliantly. But in Deceit, I remember Dave saying, because there were other directors in the picture, but I remember we were sort of talking it through, and then he was saying, in this situation now with the pandemic, I just think we need to get someone who knows what they're doing, who's really experienced, because if you add all the pressures of coronavirus on top of an inexperienced director, it might just be too much for them to handle. And we sort of, so I think that skewed it towards someone who's kind of, who knows, as long as we can create the right conditions around him, who can just focus on doing the job on the set, you know, with the actors, and not have to worry about other stuff, but can make the days and everything else. So that's how we ended up. I think that list then became shorter. I mean, the funny thing is, most people were available. It was one of those times when everything's reset and everybody's available.
Everybody's available.
So
Unlike now.
It's like if you, it's like, if all football clubs released all their players straight away
onto the market,
and you can suddenly go around cherry picking, like, because your one is happening, you're about to go, and everyone's desperate to work. Everyone's
exactly.
So I managed to get like people from film who've never done TV before, but really wanted to work. So I got a first AD who's Merchant Ivory's first AD, and just a brilliant, like one of the world's best. He just did The Father and Lady Macbeth. Never done TV before, and so I managed to convince him to come on board, and Danny Ball's production designer, and you know, things like that.
Things like that, because at the time people needed the work. So for you, it's like Sweet Shop, wasn't it? Right?
It was.
Lionel Messi over there, Ronaldo. You can go centre back.
Messi just left Barcelona.
Exactly.
Let's get on the next one.
That is not the case any longer. I
can tell you right now, we're trying to crew up our next one, and it is an absolute nightmare. Everyone is working.
It's gone manic.
It's gone mental in terms of the film TV
great
world right
time
now.
to enter the business, I would say, because there's literally you could be. I have a friend who never did anything. He was about 35, and he did a runner. He was as a runner on City of Tiny Lights, which is a movie. He didn't do a runner. No, it was very good.
A short career.
It was really. He proved himself to be good there, but you know, he's my age, and then he's just gone straight into production coordinator on a big TV series, and straight off, you know, and just getting offered left, right, and centre things. So it's really a boom time.
It's a boom time. It's a boom time. Leo Leonora Lonsdale. Can you remember why she got the role? Is there anything that you remember there about her getting to direct The Pale Horse?
God, Leo is spectacular. I mean, she's one of my best friends as well. I think I had the best experience working with the director that I did with Leo. She was awesome. What happened was, it was probably about 8 or 9 weeks out from shooting. Things are starting to get to we really must make a decision point. And I was talking with Mammoth, and I think somebody else was actually in the frame who had come for a number of interviews and was quite well known, and I sort of thought they had it, and I was fully prepared to go down that route. And then I think there's a series called Endeavour that Mammoth make.
Oh yeah,
and
Great series.
Leo must have come in for an interview about one of the episodes or something like that, one of the films for Endeavour. And so somebody had a brainwave and said, "Oh my gosh, I've just met this Leo Lonsdale who." I mean, it's a crazy idea, but maybe we should think about her. And I think it was about a week and a half later that she was in the director's chair. So it was a super fast thing. I asked her to read it, the book, met up with her, I think the next day. Her agent was like, she worked through the night to make a pitch document. And she's kind of known, I mean, she's done that a few times. She worked literally through the night, I think, put together a fabulous pitch document. And then she had to meet Mammoth, me, BBC, Agatha Christie Limited, and have a call with, I think, Amazon as well. I'm not sure. But
she was very tired at the end of that.
Yeah, no pressure. And then it was like, boom, we're in prep straight away. So here we go. So
oh, sorry, Ado. This is the perfect time to prep our listeners because I have something massive to tell them. When you are dealing with 4 to 8K footage, you're dealing with massive files. And massive files call for massive. Massive, spelt M-A-S-V. It's the file sharing solution for the modern filmmaker and post-professional. We mentioned at the start of the show how you could receive 100 gigabytes for free towards your next transfer. And how to do that is you simply create an account at massive.io/name, and you can quickly transfer terabytes of data over the cloud. And what's special about this is Massive's pay-as-you-go model means you only pay for what you need. And there are virtually no limits to the size of file you can share. You can send uncompressed video to teams around the world, to your exec producers, to your editor, wherever they are. And you can speed up your production cycle. So if you sign up today at massive.io/name, you can get 100 gigabytes free towards your transfer. Yeah, that's right. So go to massive.io/name for 100 gigabytes free. Now back to the other massive thing in your life. The show. The Filmmakers Podcast, what you're listening to now. Right, sorry about that, Ado. Anyway, where were we? Yes. What was in her pitch deck that was so exciting? What about her? I'm just for people out there who are going, when I get in the room, what should I do? Was there anything specific you remember she did, or other directors have done in the past that have impressed you?
The first one was her short film. That's definitely the bulk of it. So she'd done a short film called Beast, produced by her husband Jack Sidey and starring Billy Piper. So I think we watched Beast, and it had this sort of gothic beauty to it. It was really, really well done, composed, but vibrant, and it just had a sort of sensibility that was just kind of really exciting. Mm-hmm. So I think Beast was the majority of it. Then there was In the Room. There was how Leo talked about the series and about the Pale Horse, and what she was thinking about from the scripts that Sarah had written. Sarah had written some scripts which have all this unbelievable sort of kind of strength to them, brute strength, and people who talk in just unbelievable dialogue, and it's sort of you're there, but it could in another director's hands been quite murky and been kind of quite grimy. And I think that what Leo brought was a kind of a sort of elevated sort of classiness and sheen to it, which sort of merged the two worlds. So suddenly Mark Easterbrook and Rufus Sewell look absolutely phenomenal because Leo wanted him to look like that, and the whole series has this kind of beauty to it, which makes the horror even darker. So it was beauty and horror, those two kind of things. And I think Leo's pitch document spoke to that really well. Black and white photos, McMullen, all sorts of things, references from the time, a kind of 60s movies where they really had that sort of vibe to it. And then the other side was In the Room, just talking about what she wanted to do with it. Other directors, I sat in there with about 6 or 7 other directors who were in the room, and each one had something different that was intriguing. And then I think at the end of the day, it's just a decision like who do you feel you can trust with the material the most? And that's, so I think everyone gave it their best shot, and it just so happened that on this particular occasion, it was Leo. But it could have been anybody, really. It just depended on the people who are making this, what they feel is right for what they want to do. And sometimes it's a contrast from what had come before, so we had a very ABC Murders was one before Pale Horse, and it was quite kind of masculine, it was quite not macho, but I would say kind of masculine. John Malkovich is a Brazilian director, I think, and then Leo's was kind of a different take on it. I think they wanted that. They wanted to go in to have each one speak to a different decade and each one speak to a different sort of time, and to have a kind of anthology feel to it. So yeah, I think Leo brought something unique to that. Out of the directors talking, but she couldn't have known. It's not something that she could have prepared for, or she could only give it her best shot and then hope it would work. So
it's kind of timing, isn't it? I think it's like you said there, it was just a timing that they wanted something different. She was fresh in the room. It was so many factors that work in your favor, kind of like with actors as well. When they come into a room, it's sometimes luck, isn't it? That you would the person before was terrible, or you'd all been arguing about a certain look or whatever, and then this person walks in and you all go, yes, you all need to agree. And I think you should never get our heads down, is basically what I'm trying to get from this, that you never know why you get a job or don't get a job, whether you're acting, producing, directing, writing, anything. It's to do with just timing. Don't give up is basically what I'm saying. Keep working hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Giles. I mean, the number of famous actors and A-listers and so on whose, opportunities came to them completely by chance, they don't know why their careers have turned out the way they have when you read all these stories and biographies. And, it is something about a bit of alchemy, a bit of opportunity, a bit of luck. And the only thing is, if you work hard and prepare well each and every time, you just get a better chance of making it,
Yeah. And then you get people like Mark Ruffalo. I think it's Mark Ruffalo that did like hundreds of jobs before he got noticed.
Why not learn?
But maybe it wasn't the fact that maybe it was a mixture of him doing those huge amount of jobs, or maybe he just didn't have that moment that those other ones had, where he was in the right place with the right people at the right time until that moment, and then that was the moment that set him off.
Totally. And sometimes the more you work, the more luck comes your way, because people talk very simply about, what about that person? I saw them in so-and-so. Like if Leo hadn't made Beast, for instance, and she'd gone, well, I'm just going to make a feature that, made a short that was vibrant, that you all saw and went, that's great. Yeah. And, it's doing things like that to get noticed. And I think the more you work.
I know. I think it was an education for me as well, that, you do think that a film is your calling card. But at the same time, she managed to get a major BBC Sunday night drama, Agatha Christie, off the back of really a short. It was something that I'd learned, because I'd always thought, you have to have the several shorts and then a feature as well and so on. But actually, I sort of realized maybe you don't. It's a combination of the confidence that you can do it, speaking about it well, and having something that kind of shows in that direction.
That's interesting, because a lot of sort of agents I'm talking to at the moment and people I talk to who are pitching for TV, when they've gone in, they've all kind of got the same answer back, is, go do an episode of Hollyoaks, go do an episode of, I don't know, Doctors or whatever, and then we'll know you can do telly. But we've made about 5 features. We've kind of, this is a totally different medium to doing a Hollyoaks or a Doctors. It's just a totally different mindset. And we've had a lot of directors had that issue, but I love hearing from you to say, no, we pretty much took someone from a great short. Obviously, they pitched well and were brilliant in the room, but...
Well, also, I mean, if we're being absolutely frank here as well, I think a newer director is also more likely to listen. And I think that in TV world is quite important. In film world, it's probably the opposite. The more director doesn't listen, the more lauded they are. But
sadly.
in TV is a collaboration. That's why it's a business, and not purely an art form. So, I think there's partly several factors to it. But it just... Who would have known? She couldn't have known. I couldn't have known. But it was great that it ended up like that. And other directors, who knows what would have happened in their hands?
It's fascinating, isn't it, to think that? Would you, in America, you'd be classed as a showrunner, right?
Actually, no. I got asked this on this new job. Actually, they said, looking at the budget, why are you going to be on during post? And because I'm working with a British production company with Tiger Aspect, we all sort of went, that's how it works in the UK. The producer stays on from the beginning till the end, which is what I've always done. In America, the system apparently, there's a post producer who comes on in post production who's had nothing to do with the shoot. Apparently, the showrunner is usually I think it's the right. This is basically the person who the buck stops creatively. So they will decide everything to do with, and a director might be there, but the showrunner directs the actors, which is really weird, but that's something that's quite common. On our British system, it's usually the producer is fulfills the role the same as a feature film producer without all of the legal hassle. And everything.
Because you've already got route to market as well. It's going on to Channel 4
exactly. Don't
BBC.
Need to go around, with the film in a suitcase, flogging it, and making posters up and then selling it behind a stand. You don't have to do any of that. That's quite nice.
So have you been able to navigate around that for the new show? Is this the HBO show?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's just, it's a whole nother dimension of everything. I mean, it's really weird. I'm enjoying it in as so much as it's just a constant learning. There's so much to learn about the way basically a studio makes something, and it's a completely different set of processes and all sorts of things that are different. But one of them was they don't really use producers in the same way. They expect a producer, I think, because of the scale of these shows as well, to be someone who's come up through the crew as a very experienced first AD or perhaps line producer, someone who can control the scale and numbers involved in these things. Whereas a producer here has to work with the director, the cast, be involved creatively and practically, logistically, in every which way. So it's different. But yeah, who knows? It's fun as well. It's different.
Yeah.
So how have you been approaching this so far then, like coming on, because you're in very early stages, you've got a lot of prep time. How has it all sort of started in this? It's mental. I've probably been working on this for a couple of months. I delivered Deceit, promised myself I would take some time off. Got sent an email that just said,
Yeah, I'm laughing because we know it doesn't come.
What's time off?
I penciled
Does that happen
in Christmas.
between nervous breakdowns?
2022.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It felt like that. I remember, 6 flat out months in post, 6 flat out months in prep and shoot. And I just thought, I deserve a bit of time off.
Yeah, definitely.
Sit back and read a book or something, or maybe have a day off, But instead I got sent something that basically overlapped to the point where I delivered Deceit on a Friday in June and started on this on the Monday. And
Not even a bank holiday.
Not even a bank
I
holiday.
didn't even get that.
But it's been quite gentle. It's not full on. It is, I would call it late stage development. So it is a bit more involved. Like there aren't all the scripts are in, which there were on the last show because lockdown had allowed that time to happen. And on this one, the scripts are kind of still evolving. And yeah, HBO are different, amazing, but different. They sort of, the first thing that the head of production, senior vice president of production at HBO, the first time I had 5 interviews for this. And the first one was, he just said, so I'm overseeing 180 series right now. Oh, that's not true. You can't even remember the names of 180 series. That's not possible.
I haven't even got 180 hands.
I suspect that that's the entire output of HBO plus HBO Max. And he was kind of, just sort of showing the scale. But one of the things they are doing is obviously the Game of Thrones prequel. So it's that kind of amazing thing where you're on a call. They're talking about how the Prime Minister of Spain is going to come over for a meeting about how to change the law because HBO has been lobbying to change visa laws. Post-Brexit, and they're coming over for a meeting because they've got Game of Thrones plus this series is going to be shot in Spain. So
love that.
And then, let me just bring on the Game of Thrones producer. Ding. And then suddenly we get, hello. Game of Thrones. Hi, I'm the co-producer on Game of Thrones. Yeah, I'll talk you through the visa system. What the hell?
What the fuck? Okay.
So yeah, so it's kind of intense like that. And then we had one of these things where there's a Zoom call and there's like 40 people on it, literally 35 who just don't need to be on the call whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at just like a mosaic of people. You're like, what the fuck do you all do? But it's quite funny like that because we're obviously used to doing things in a more scaled down indie British way,
Yes,
so
very much so.
It's different, but also that once they support you, they go flat out. So we said we needed to. I've never been to Ibiza, never been to Mallorca, and
just
only
for
once.
laughs. You were like, I just want to go raving. I promised myself a holiday. Send me to Ibiza.
So the job comes in and it's like set in Ibiza over 2 weeks, in like a villa in Ibiza. That's the whole series. And I was like, well, I really should get out there to because we're talking about when we're going to shoot. Can we shoot over the winter? What's it like? Can you get in the sea in winter? Like, I have no idea. So we we said we'd like to go on a recce. Myself and the line producer, and then literally 2 weeks later we were on a 2-week recce in Ibiza, Mallorca, with 3 Spanish guys who were like scout, driver and production manager, with a full itinerary taking us around 3 different places. So we went Ibiza, Formentera, Mallorca and Costa Blanca, and we're looking at luxury villas and amazing beaches and like special mountains, and I was like going, this is mad. This is like the craziest job ever, Yeah,
I love that though. Like
dream.
You say, the dream, the support and everything. They just went, well, let's do this. And if you go back to your first feature films, if you like, with The Last Passenger and then City of Tiny Lights, could you have ever dreamed that, this?
The COVID budget on this show would pay for both of those movies combined.
Wow.
That's amazing and also painful.
It's horrible. It's horrendous.
Yes. How did you go from, because you were, making feature films and we spoke to you when, City of Tiny Lights had sort of come out and you'd have made it maybe a year or so ago when you came to the MakeYourFilm event for us and you very kindly were guest there. But then you were already moving into TV at that point. And we didn't touch on it too much because we were very much on the filmic side at the time. How was the leap and how Was it kind of an easy process? Was it a kind of, okay, well, I've produced these films, let me go and talk to TV companies? Just because it's interesting how you do the change.
Yeah, I mean, if you literally imagine staring at a blank wall, that's what I thought moving into TV was like, I don't know anybody in TV. I don't know how they make TV. All I know is that there are some really, it got to the point where I was watching almost as much TV as I was films. And then I thought it was so hard to make one particular film that I was trying to make. And I sort of got a little bit discouraged by how hard it was at that point in time. And then I just thought, I was getting on a bit. I also, became a father. And I just thought at that point, like, there must be, because I had a film that I spent 2 years heart and soul putting together. Had a slate that was extraordinary, wonderful slate of things that were exciting and bubbling away with, BFI and Film 4 and everybody. And it all felt like it was just one step away from happening, but that step was ever elusive. So I remember thinking at the time, like, I met the lawyer who was my lawyer on Last Passenger, and she was working at a TV company. She was the one who put the idea in my head and said, "You should be doing this. You're better than like most of these TV producers. I promise you, you can do this. You can do this." And I was like, "Nah, I don't know how. Who am I gonna? I only know you. How's it going to work?" So it was from that point, and that was probably 3 years ago, which shows you it's not very long actually. So it was about mid 2018 that the movie fell apart. I got very depressed. I mean, like really down. I just questioned everything. We were flat broke. My kid was, now maybe 4, I think. And it just felt like it's always the same sort of thing. It's just always promise and never deliver. And then I remember the second half of that year. So I must have met my lawyer in the summer of that, in that summer while I was super depressed and just sort of struggling really as a person and everything. And I remember just applying for jobs, which I'd never done in my life. I've never applied for any jobs, but I was applying for jobs now, like as development people at the BFI and this and that, and a book agent and stuff. And then it was only towards the end of the year that I bumped into a couple of people who were kind of pivotal. One was Farah, who just made ABC Murders and done the same transition from film to TV. And the other was Matt Dench, who's an agent I've known for a long time.
Yeah, Dench Arnold, right?
Yeah, Matt Dench, and he was terrific. And it sort of went to this thing where, look, I've always got, as a film person, as a film producer, you've always talking to people about your slate, what you've got coming up, what you're developing, being receptive and open to new ideas and new thoughts until you can't handle too many, And on a TV producer, it is functional. It's a job. You go in and you are there, very stimulating, but still it is part of a machine, And so just learning that took about 4 months of just asking, like, what's the difference? What's the difference between film and TV? There's a vast difference in some ways, and other ways on the production side, once you're on set, it feels very, very much the same. And then everything afterwards, it just feels like there are more people to take care of the things that you had to take care of yourself all that time. But I'm really glad that I came up through the indie film route. I'm really glad that I was made by the BFI to do everything on Last Passenger, including, I remember we talked about post-production supervisor, and we were asking for like $2,500 so we could hire somebody. And Chris Collins at the BFI, sort of late Chris Collins, but he said to me, "No, I think it's a lesson for you and you should do it yourself." And I was like, "But I've just killed myself making the film and I don't want to do all this shit paperwork." And he was like, you have to do it. So yeah, learn your trade. It was one of those where it really helps to learn your trade. And I think I wish I'd done a $70,000 movie, when I was much younger. I wish I'd just got my friends together and made movies, just to keep learning and learning and learning. I think jumping in on a sort of just over £1 million feature film with all these stakeholders was a little bit not the right way to do it. But then into TV now, it's just about the fact that the access you get, your access to writers and access to cast and access to directors are just like, and also it's very fast. I've only done 2 and then I got asked to do one by HBO, and it just seemed like it's incredible. It's like 3 years ago, if you'd said you'd be working on an HBO series within a couple of years, I'm just, no way, come on, that's insane.
I think it's such a valuable lesson. Like even though now you have got those budgets, the huge budgets, you're not going to be someone that wastes money. And I think that goes for people that have worked, on even lower budgets. Like when you built the sets yourself and you got out and bought the costumes and all that
sickening.
kind of
stuff. All you needed was another couple of $100,000 to round out a finance plan or something like that. And you see these ridiculous numbers in a budget. The budget now, it's like it's 120 something pages long, the budget, you know. It's just insane, and the numbers are just crazy, you know, crazy. And you just think, well, if you're used to it, fair enough, you know. But I just think there's a lot of wastage, and I think that it probably, if you hived off some of that and gave it to a younger filmmaker, you might bring through more films. And more
we'll take some.
You know? Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't work like that, obviously. But
I mean, I think it's incredibly valuable, though, to hear you. I mean, I think it's people underestimate when they're making films and they're sort of plugging away at TV and they are having hard times, that, you know, whether you're a first-time filmmaker trying to make your first feature or you're, you know, at your level, there is that moment when you think about giving up and you think about, you know, am I doing the right thing?
The whole time. Imposter syndrome is a massive one in this new one, I would say. Like, I don't necessarily suffer from it myself, but there are occasions when you kind of go, whoa, what am I doing here? Like, and there are other times, mostly it's about the struggle. I mean, you know, since I was 20, I've been in the film business and I've grown up around it. So I really have seen everybody. So I've seen my mum super depressed and lost her house. I've seen, you know, I felt myself absolutely like it just seems to be roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after, you know, get your hopes up and have them dash, get your hopes up and have them dash. It's like a cycle of sort of self-flagellation and sort of, you know, masochism. And you go, why are we doing this? You know, I think it's really familiar. And I think that everyone should take heart from the fact that that is literally the same journey for every single person, you know. And even those who've had staggering success, the problem with staggering success is maintaining staggering success, because then nothing you do afterwards is going to match up to that. So, you know, there is a sadness and a sort of a something to that is also kind of really difficult and part of a journey. I just think the whole thing is hard, but there are so many great things that can happen and do happen along the way. But also you've got to make good decisions as well. Like the idea of, you know, film at the minute is I'd like to be a producer who can make both films and TV. Right now, I'm a little bit sad because I don't think the indie film scene is as healthy or as flourishing as it could be. And I think the TV scene is a little bit oversaturated. So, you know, there will never be a kind of natural order to it or a balance to it. But I just think that, yeah, it's the best thing I did was not to pigeonhole myself into just film and just stick with that like bloody mindedly, you know, unless it was absolutely what I wanted to do, but it wasn't. You know, I wanted to be able to make things on a regular basis and work with more writers and directors and cast and so on, you know, and other production companies and other broadcasters. So I'm really pleased I can do that. And the challenge going forward will be how to be able to do both, to go back to film and then try and make, you know, some of the films that I've just haven't had time to keep pushing forward, because films do not push themselves forward.
Nope,
you know?
Unless someone is pushing them, that train has stopped, mate.
And it's you guys and you know, people like myself who have to absolutely grind those films, keep making them, trying to happen, and you know, just eventually just try and know also when to give up on one particular film or to put it aside for a while, you know. And those are things that just come with experience, I think, and how much you can handle as well. Yeah. Like, how much can you take?
That's always it, isn't it? It's like, you know, whether, however horrendous the pressure is, like if your passion to sort of make films and you know, you're good to work with and people like working with you, like you will keep going no matter how difficult it is. And that sort of separates people that give up and those that don't, is, you know, making stories is kind of your life. I think that goes for all of us.
I mean, I just think I've known some people leave the industry as well, you know, really great producers, really great actors, really great directors and so on. So, you know, I just think it's you, if it's everything to you and you keep trying, I do believe that, you know, things do pay off. I do believe, I wouldn't have said that 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was in the midst of just going, I'm going to become an Uber driver. I'm going to retrain as a teacher. I'm literally done with this. You know, it's been my family's life for 70 years. But I'm just done with it. I just can't take this any longer. It's too painful. Yeah, it can turn around. It can turn around really quickly as well. That's the other thing. It's not like it has to be a long slog. It doesn't necessarily.
It's like that picture with the two people that have got the little pickaxes and they're like right next to the diamond wall, and one of them gives up and the other one doesn't. It's like you never know how close you are.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, and that's why, like say, sometimes when you are the stuff coming in, just take it with both hands and just deal with it.
That was the thinking. It was just like, you know, where do you want to go next? It was like, okay, well, set a goal. I mean, you know, there's some I sort of keep reading that some of these successful people in all walks of life, you know, try and visualize the thing and keep that in your mind. I think there is a slight truth to that, in the only sense that after BBC One and Channel 4, I remember thinking the only thing that I would possibly give up like a break for is not to go straight back onto the wagon and do another BBC One or another, you know, I wouldn't touch ITV. Sorry, ITV, but I just wouldn't touch ITV. Barge pole. but it was either Netflix or an Apple or an Amazon or an HBO. That was it. Because then there's another level of budget where, you know, we had to be very creative on Deceit. You know, we didn't have the biggest budget for what we're trying to do. But now we've got a budget probably 5 times as big as that for something that we could make for a 30th of it, to be honest with you. If we had to.
But that's how it works, isn't it? That's why when you play in the big leagues, then that becomes, it helps you become, all right, you don't want to get stuck down in the ways, but at the same time,
and it's exciting.
Going,
I mean, you know what? Like, it's going to be painful. A friend of mine, when I was umming and ahhing about this, said, you know, what are you worrying about? Yeah, and I was like, well, it's, you know, I was like, oh God, these Americans are going to be calling all times of day and night and this and that, and I need my 8 hours of sleep. I don't want to be like waiting for a call to happen at 1 a.m. And he was like, shut up, grow up. Do it once, and if you hate it, don't do it again.
Exactly. If you'd been an Uber driver, you'd have been getting calls through the night, mate. So
that's so true. That's so true. But yeah, no, it was just don't bitch and moan, and just, you know, it's like, this is the time. If you're young enough and strong enough to do it, and you get offered amazing things, do it. Because you know what, like the composers, just talking about like what you can do with a budget, like this is the dream thing. I've never been able to afford the kind of composers that I want to work with, you know, that are like staggeringly amazing. Yes. And I get a list through of composers, and it blows your mind. You know, it's just like, these are the people that we could reach. Would you like to make a short list out of them? Like, Jesus Christ, serious, you know? So it's that sense of being, or no cast is unattainable or unapproachable, let's say. No director is off the limit, you know? So it's suddenly just going, wow, okay, so the entire compromise thing that happens all the time in every facet of filmmaking, it kind of goes out the window because they give you the resources to
throw money at it.
To throw money at it, but also with the expectations that you better deliver.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
and also, I mean, you know, something like HBO, that there's a signature of kind of like quality. So when those kind of people receive, you know, an offer or a request, they know that they're probably going to be in with a good show. I
think so. I mean, you know, I think they're probably, I never really paid attention to the Emmys before, but like more and more I'm just starting to look at these kind of awards, but like,
just in case.
It was always the BIFFAs and the BAFTAs and, you know, film awards.
Totally,
and Golden Globes didn't really care, and Emmys is just like silly because there's, you know, and Netflix, I think HBO got like 135 nominations this year or something like that. I was like, and Netflix got 100. I was like, how many categories can you possibly have?
All of them.
Exactly.
All of them.
So clearly there's, you know, there's a sheen of quality. They are not of the scale of, say, Apple, who are making some of the biggest series I think ever being made at the moment.
That Lord of the Rings is the money per episode.
And Foundation.
Ridiculous.
I think there's like Apple are doing Citadel and Foundation, which I just sound like the budgets are just off the scale. Amazon are doing the Lord of the Rings thing, which is again crazy. HBO doing the Game of Thrones prequel, which is its own thing as well. So I mean, it's that sort of time.
Yeah, and we thought The Crown was really expensive. And then you look at these ones, you're like, hello.
Yeah.
It's a different world, but it's amazing.
It's exciting.
It's really exciting, and it's exciting your career, and it's brilliant that, you know, was it 2 years ago, the Make Your Film event? I can't remember, but it's so wonderful to now see you've done this, and fair play to you. You know, we're proper proud of you, both me and Dom, the fact that you've just gone, and now big HBO show. Well done. You know, it's exciting.
Yeah, but you know, it's the same. I feel exactly the same as I did when I did that Make Your Film, which is the same I felt like years before that. You know, I think what's important in this is not to let it take over your life, and keep your friends, and just sort of also just, you know, step out of yourself as well from time to time. And you know what I mean? Like it's what we do is great, but it's also very painful, and you can get sucked into all of that. So, but it's once we're all celebrating together, once we made something, it's really nice. And I have to say, I'm so happy whenever any of my friends make anything, or you know, about to release something or something, because you just know the hard work and the effort and the sheer doggedness that's gone into doing that and trying to do it well. So, good luck to everybody who's trying to make anything. I think anything that is made is an achievement, literally. And after that, it's about how good the stories are, how good a storyteller you can be. But again, it's not just down to one person usually, it's down to lots and lots of different factors. So, you can only do your best, I think.
That is amazing. What a wonderful, wonderful way to end this amazing episode. Thank you. This has been brilliant.
It was loads of fun. No, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Deceit is out now on Channel 4. Go watch it. I can't wait for the next episodes. I'm super excited already.
Oh, they all come out on the same night. So what they're doing now is box setting everything. So air Ep 1, release everything that night for the bingers, and then each week it will come 2, 3, and 4. And I have to say, the only thing is Ep 3 is my favorite. I think Ep 3 is the best thing I've ever done. I think that is the most rounded hour of TV, and I think it's a really good episode. So I hope people enjoy it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it too.
We will. We definitely will.
Yeah, definitely will.
Yeah.
Ado, thank you so much.
Yes.
This has been brilliant. Can people find you on the socials? Can you give out your...
I'm on Instagram. I'm just turning into a granddad, so I don't have Twitter.
Instagram-dad?
Yeah, Instagram-dad. Yeah. I got told off because I posted my first Instagram story the other day, and I posted it 3 times like a granddad. I got laughed at by my editor. But yeah, no, Instagram, I'm on that, and Facebook. Yeah. So
cool. What is it? What's the handle? What have you got on there?
Oh, good granddad's going to check his
Instagram granddad checks while we do Dom's. Dom, where can people find you?
Director Dom Lenoir on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And I'm at Charles Alderson on the same.
Mine's Ado Yoshizaki Cassuto, or ado.yoshizaki.cassuto on Instagram. That's what it sounds.
Perfect. Follow the granddad on there for granddad tips.
Oh, thanks so much, guys. I had a blast.
It was amazing. Thanks.
Amazing. Remember, you can go out there and make your indie film or your TV show. Whatever it is, you can do it. And remember, if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, as Ado has done, it is your duty to send the elevator back down. Thank you both. It's been amazing. We will see you all next Tuesday. Take care. Go make something happen this week. Make it happen. See you next week. Bye.